to make your turkey felt mug rug, go ahead and cut out or print out your templates. So that's just a layout, and then you have all your little turkey pieces. You'll need all your fabric, your felt fabric, your embroidery floss, your needle, make sure that has a big eye and a sharp point, and then you'll need some pins. And then grab your fabric scissors and we will get started. So for the background piece, I'm using one sheet of felt that's 9 by 12, and I'm just going to cut it in half, and that will be the front and the back. So we're going to add our turkey to one of the pieces, and then once we have that front piece all sewn, we'll attach it to the background. The next step is to cut out all of your turkey pieces. And for the eyes, I cut one of them, the bigger piece, and then the other piece, I cut the smaller piece, if that makes sense. So the outer eye and then the inner eye. And then that other turkey layout is just to kind of help you make sure you are putting everything in its right place. So take your individual pieces, and I'm going to make the body of the turkey, and I'm going to pin it to this brown fabric. You could also pin it, trace it, and then cut it out. I'm just going to pin it to my felt and then cut it around the template. It's totally up to you. And you're just going to repeat that process with all of your other pieces. So white for the eyes, black for the inner eye, and then this goldish color for the beak, and then your red for your, I think it's called a wattle. I keep calling it that. I don't know. So repeat that same exact process with all of your little felt pieces, including your feathers. For the feathers, I went ahead and stacked all my pieces, and I just traced them all together and cut them out together. You can, of course, do one at a time, and you'll need 2 of each color. So now you have all your pieces cut out. We're going to work on the layout. So lay out all your feathers in the center of your background piece, and you're just going to get them laid out to where when you put your turkey on top, there's no background pieces really showing through, and they're nice and even. So I'm just laying out my turkey to see how I like it, and then we will sew it on. First thing I'm going to sew on is these feathers, and so I'm just going to pin them to the background, get them nice and secure, and then we'll go ahead and do a running stitch to attach them. So next up, you'll want to thread your needle, and I'm using embroidery floss, and I'm using 3 strands. It's up to you, whatever you like. I like 3 strands. And then I'm going to tie a knot, thread my needle, and then we'll hide the knot in the back and start our running stitch. So you're just going to attach all of those feathers with the running stitch along the edge of each of them, and then we'll move on to the turkey body. So now you have all of your feathers attached with a running stitch. Let's move on to attaching our little turkey pieces. So I'm using like a red for that wattle, a yellow for the beak, and then white and black for the eyes. You can always glue on all of these pieces with some tacky glue, some fabric glue. That is also an option. So if you don't want to sew on every little piece, that's an option. So I'm getting this red piece attached to my turkey just on that center piece, and then I'm going to finish attaching it to the background. And then to secure the back, you're going to find either a stitch or just a little tiny piece of fabric, make a loop, and then send your needle through that loop a couple times to secure a knot in the back, and then you'll trim it and then continue with your next color of thread. So next up, I'm going to attach the turkey body, and I'm using just a brown floss with 3 strands. So same process. And then now for our eyes and then that final beak. Now we have our turkey attached, and then we're going to add our background layer, and I'm just going to pin those 2 in place, and we're going to use the blanket stitch. So hide your needle between the 2 layers, and then you're going to stitch all the way around that rectangle using the blanket stitch. So you'll do a loop through both pieces of fabric, and then before you pull that thread all the way through, stick your needle through that loop, and it'll send a piece of thread running across the edge of your fabric. Then you'll continue all the way around till you have everything stitched, and there you have your finished mug rug.